beautiful webinar. Okay, so as we spoke yesterday, a fast recap. We are talking about INT-TSI, our biggest 7-inch keypad with the many interesting functionalities, and that will be that we will use and talk about today. As the first and main part is the 7-inch screen, 800 for 480 pixels. It's a capacity screen, so almost the same technology that it's used in your mobile phones. So you don't need to use any kind of force to use this keypad. It's not resistant that you need to push hard for the keypad to react. Other things that you can connect LAN network to it, and this give you additional features. This is additional, not required ones. So you can see, for example, IP camera live view in there. You can use a weather widget, but also you could, for example, send your configuration from the TSI builder directly to the keypad without need to remove SD card and playing with it. Of course, this works only in the local network, but if you are using some kind of VPN, you could do it remotely. Of course, there's additional few features like, for example, photo frame, etc. So very interesting. Also, one more thing, there is also a possibility to use master slave functionality. This give you a possibility to expand amount of keypads in the system from maximum 8 up to 16, because every connected TSI have a possibility to connect one slave on the LAN network. But also, if you don't have a cabling, the place where you want to have a keypad, but you have LAN, then you can use, of course, a LAN for this. So you can switch the places of this keypad as the slave. And there is also new functionality that will be soon implemented in TSI. Right now, it's in the beta version, and this is intercom that you can use with the communication with the door intercom. So you will be able to use it as the panel in front of you to control the gates and all the stuff. Also, with the possibility of the full customization on the TSI, there is a possibility to, for example, create a project that will allow you to control almost anything in your house, like a smart house. So you can control the lights, shutters, sprinklers, internal, external lights. To be honest, whatever you can control through the Integra panel, you can do it without any problem, but with additional functionalities like macros, that you could use it as the scenarios. So turn on the lights in the kitchen, dim the lights in the living room, etc., etc., etc. Wait, for example, 5 minutes and then do something else. So there is a lot of possibilities. I hope I will be able to today to explain most of them, at least for you to catch this idea. Of course, you will need to, I think, create your own few projects before you will do or find new possibilities for INT-TSI. Alrighty, so let's start with the hardware. So as we spoke before, let's go to presentation. Okay. As we talked before, touch screen, 7-inch screen as for the in every one of them. There are 3 different types of color schemes. So there's a white, silver, silver, white, and black, silver, black. So to fit your customer's requirements. There is a quite powerful processor inside. It's 800 megahertz. At least for security system, you won't find. I don't think that you will find anything more advanced. And we supported SD card up to 32 gigabytes. But of course, in most cases, even my biggest, I think, project with the photo frames and other stuff had like 300 megabytes, so you have still a lot of space in there. Ethernet connection for the live view, IP live view cameras, and master slave functionality, of course, weather widget, etc. It's working on the Windows CE, but we reconfigure it so most of the parts are removed from there to give you a biggest from the security point of view, biggest protection, and full customization. Everything what you see on the screen, you can do it by yourself. You can replace it, icons, widgets. You can place whatever you want, however you want in there. Okay. So as the hardware from the back side, if we go from the top, on the left bottom, you will find a bus connector. There is, of course, power supply. There is also data and clock connector, 2 zones, and RS485 for the next step of our panels. Please remember about the power supply. This is quite amp-hungry device. Is able to take even 600 milliamperes, so please take in consideration to put a proper power supply for it, especially if you are using smaller Integra panels. But also please remember to use, if you put a keypad on the longer distance, please use more thickened cables because of the 12 volts going through the 0.5 millimeter degree wire is not exactly the best for it, at least for the long range. On the left side, on the bottom, also on the bottom more, on the left, there is a RS-232 socket for the STM update. It's only used for the STM update, nothing else. So this is the part of the communication module inside INT-TSI. This is providing you communication with the Integra panel. On the right side in there, the 5-pin connector is also for OS update. This is also RS-232 that you will be using with USB with this type of cable. Yeah, so you will be able to update OS of the system. There is also a SD card in the middle that you can replace it. You can put a project through a card reader, something, for example, like this one that you connect in here and USB on the other side to your computer. But also you don't need to remove it. You can use a LAN for it if you are connected to LAN between, of course, TSI and PC. There is a mini USB service terminal. Please don't use it. This is only for the service department to use. And there is also a RJ45 TCP/IP socket on the right side. The cables are there's also holders for the cable, not to remove the socket from the board. So please use them. On the left and the right side, we have 2 speakers in stereo, so you have a lot of possibilities with the quality of the sound. Of course, it's not used for the audio and for the music or more advanced stuff. It's more for like sounders for what's happening inside the system, but also for intercoms in near future. And on top, we have microphone. Again, it will be mostly used for any kind of intercoms inside the system. Okay, with every TSI, there is a ferrite ring. Please use it. Wrap around 3 times per cable to clean all the interference on the cable. Please don't do it too much like you see on the screen. Just 3 times and will be enough, and put it as close as possible to TSI. This sometimes could help to solve any kind of problem with the electromagnetic interference on the cable that will show up in there. Alrighty, so this is about the hardware. There is also a nifty tool to open a TSI but of course you can use almost anything, but we will also advise to use it. All right, so let's go to the main part. Today we will create a project, new project for the TSI, and we will go step by step how to create it. And this, with this we will be able to. I hope after it you will be able to create your own project. Of course, if you have free time and you prefer to do it with me, please you install TSI Builder and try to do it with me step by step. Then you will have this project exactly the same as I have, and it will stick more with you. Something similar for all the training that we are doing almost every day for you guys, so you can join me in. So from the yesterday, you know how the TSI Builder looks like. You can download it from our website. You know where it was. Yeah, you know the stuff. You know the TSI already. So let's do our first new project. So File, New Project. And then we have a possibility to choose from the two different projects. We have Base Project. This is empty project without anything on it. And Sample from the SATEL. Yesterday I showed you the sample from the SATEL, so we go to new project. Then we press next. We should name it somehow TSI webinar. Okay, well, let's name it TSI webinar and press next. Also in here you have information about the path and the folder where this project will be. As default is in the documents and the TSI Builder projects. You will find it there. Okay, next question, next step is the deload X data import. So in here, you can choose from the default configuration from the Integra panel, but also you can choose a file. Why you should choose a file? So if you choose a configuration from your deload X, then you will have all the information about the users, about the name of the zones, about the outputs, etc., etc. Also, event log will be implemented in there. What does this give you? First of all, if you go into the macros and you want to, for example, or to buttons, and you want to say that I want to control my sprinklers, and you name in the deload X that this output controls sprinklers 1, then in the name of the output, you will have sprinklers 1. I will show you in a few seconds, but how to get this information. First of all, you need to start the deload X, go to File, Export, Import, export names to XML. So after this, I will export it to the new data file Integra 64 Plus. Okay, save it. And then I can try to find this file. I will do something like this, new data file, okay, and open. It will right now read data from this file, and then I have full information. So partitions, zones, outputs, expanders, timers, all this configuration what I have inside deload X. This gives me possibilities how to use the system and all the names about it. So let's go next. Also, the information about the Ether ETHM1 Plus that is connected in there, but this will give you just a few possibilities to run, but we will skip this part because it's not necessary for the configuration. And then device type, INT-TSI, and let's name the keypad. So keypad will be main keypad. Okay. Next, and then theme. I will go with flat this time. And then we press finish. This is the theme that you can use. This is the color schematics as we spoke yesterday. And then we press finish. This can take a little bit because it depends on the speed of your PC. Because TSI right now is creating all the necessary files, all the configuration inside on your hard drive. So this could take a little bit of your time. Depends on your PC, to be honest. This is, yeah. I'm using i7 60 gigabytes of RAM, so this was quite fast. It depends, of course, of your speed of your PC. So right now we have our project. We have our TSI webinar, main keypad, our templates, no authorization, and with authorization, LEDs, triggers, no synchronization, and our theme and users. Because we download all the names from the DLOTX, we can go right now, for example, to users, and we will see that there is a user Chris, Kate, Ray, and administrator, because I left this type of users in here. The same goes, for example, in the project. If we go to no authorization, this is the clean project. If I use, for example, some kind of button, and I want that this button will, indicator, and I want to use it for example, for partition. Right now I have all the names. I have all the zones names, and I have all the outputs, as you see in the DLOTX. So this will give me easier for the configuration later on. Of course, I use on 21 outputs, but if I want to still have all the information about it, about all outputs, they are in here. If you later on, if you, for example, started configure TSI, but you added new outputs, new configuration in the DLOTX, you can always import new information about your panel in file, import names, and DLOTX. I will mark them here. Import names to the DLOTX or for the ETHM1. So then you can again download all the information and refresh this information in the TSI builder. Okay, so we have our new project. We need to do something with it. It will be nice that on the first screen, so there is no authorization, we add some kind of simple information in there, like arm disarm. So if we want to use, for example, one button as the information about the 4 different partitions, because in the system we have 4 different partitions. So I will do 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 buttons that are controlling our 4 partitions. Okay, so let's configure it. So first partition, first of all, we need to set that if the source, so because this is identifier, it will change the icon, so the status of partition in our case, but also the macro that we will be using for this partition. So we choose partition, home, and right now this indicator will follow status of the partition. So if the partition is disarmed, so inactive, we want to use some kind of, let's give him a second, some kind of icon that the partition is disarmed. So let's use some, it's disarm. Where do we have some kind of disarm button we can use? Yeah, in here. So the system showing us the status is disarm. Good. When the system is armed, let's show it that the system is armed. Let's say this is house, so let's use the icon of the house. Okay. So depending if the system is armed, it will show that this is armed. If it is disarmed, it's disarmed. Perfect. Next step, we need to say what it should do when the system is disarmed. It should arm. So let's go to macros. Let's create new macro. And then we have a possibility to create new macro, arm house. And then we will choose arm partition 1 in the type 0. There are 4 different types of arming. 0 is the full arm, 1 is without no exit, so it block all the no exit zones that are marked with this function, this option. 2 is without internal, and 3 is without internal and no entry time. In our case, we want to arm everything, so let's do this one. So arm house, we put it in the icon where it's open. So if the system is disarmed, then we arm the system. The same goes, and we create disarm. Let's name it disarm house and use the same disarm partition 1. And let's add it to when the button is active. Okay, so right now, if the system is disarmed, we have this type of icon, and then if you press button, we arm, and the same goes for the other way. So if the system is armed, we have status, the system is armed, and we press button, disarm. Quite simple. Right now, we have fully configured first our widget. The same thing we can do with all other, but we can do it even easier because I can replace it. For example, I can use copy, paste, aligned it. So almost I have icons already set. I can change that, for example, garage will be armed. And of course, I need to change macros. With the macros, I can do, first of all, I will remove them. And then with macros, I can do option like the duplicate and change the name, change the partition that I want to arm, and then I have garage, and the same I will do here. Garage, disarm, partition 2, perfect. And then when the system is armed, I can do it with the garage. Maybe I will change also the icons because yes, why not? I don't know if I have garage icon in here. I can always use an import button to use my own icons in the system. So I can always use some kind of other icons, or I can download. There's many websites that give you a possibility to create icons, but also to download all the packs of the icons for your system for smart home. So you can do it however you like. I just use this one. Let's say this is a garage. Quite easy. And you could do the same thing for the other partitions. But in this case, let's skip them. Let's make it bigger for the end user to use. So yeah, make it a little bit bigger. Good, perfect. So right now we have two information, but for the end user, this will be okay. Maybe he won't understand which one is doing what. So let's name them. This is house, and this is garage. Right now we have information. I think this should be a little bigger. If you have, for example, the problem with the size, you can always go in the properties of this widget. Let's take it a bigger one. You can copy, go to where you want to go, paste it, press enter. It's a little bit lower. That's good. So they should be the same size right now. So right now we have information that the house is on the left, garage is on the right. We can work a little bit more with it, but let's do one more thing. Let's use a clip art to make this information a little bit, like separated from the background. So we can go in here, use some kind of picture that we already have in here. I will use this one. I will remove the keep radial size so I can expand it as much as I like, and do something like this. Okay. More or less, it will look like this. It's fine. we have information on the main screen, on the basics, so everyone see this, a possibility to arm and disarm the system, house and garage. Of course, every single time when you press a button to arm and disarm, you will be asked for password, because this is without authorization. So yeah, we will have a full information that nobody will arm or disarm without authorization. But still, we have full information about it. Okay, what we want more in here? Let's assume that this TSI is somewhere in the main room or at the entrance. So let's give this first tab, first screen, some kind of information or control over outputs, like turn on the lights, turn off the lights, etc. You can do it by using a single button. So if you press a button, turn on the lights, press a button, turn off the light. But you won't have information about the status of this light. So let's use indicator again for it. This gives us also information about the status of the light. Let's make it a little bigger. Perfect. And let's name it corridor. So we have information about this. But also we should say what it should follow, so that we have a status inside the system. Light corridor, our output 20. If we didn't import the names, we will have output 20, that's all. But right now we have full name, so light corridor. Okay, so this will follow up. Now let's choose icon. When the system is inactive, we should say that there is no light. When the system is active, when the output is active, there is light. Quite simple. But also, I would like to make some kind of macros. So, because we want to control this light. So we go in here, create macro, corridor on, for example, light. So to turn on the lights, we are using outputs. So turn on outputs. And we want to turn on output. I would make it a little bigger. Output 20. We can do something like this, that then we will decide that if it's turned off, then turn on, and when it's turned on, turned off. So we need to use two macros for this. But if we are controlling just one light, it will be easier for us to use a switch output. So I remove turn on, turn off. I will use switch. What it means? It will automatically change the status of this output depending on what status is right now. So it is on will off, where it is off will on. This is the best use if you are using for just one output. If you are, for example, combining 4 different outputs, or 2 even, and if their status could be different than the other, like you have scenarios that you can control every single light separately, but if you want to turn on the scenario and you want to press one button to turn it all on, switch output will be not the best idea, because if the one is on, then this one will turn off and the other will turn on. You understand the idea. So when you control one output, it's the best to use switch outputs. If you are controlling more, use on and off, then you have full information. So in here, I will just corridor lights, that's all. And I can then use the same macro for both inactive and active output. And this is how you control lights. But right now, with the default configuration of the TSI, you will have on the no authorization template, you will every single time, if you control output, turn on, turn off the lights or whatever, garage, etc., you will need to every single time press your code of your user. So you will need to authorize that you want to turn on the lights. Maybe it's not the best for the smart home because user will very fast try to force you to disable this functionality. So to disable it, you go to DLOTEX, you go to configuration of the TSI. I hope you see it on the screen. And you need to mark option quick control in the additional option of this keypad. If you mark it, then if you're controlling the lights, controlling outputs in general, you won't be asked for password. You will be asked for password only when you arm and disarm, because this is the requirement of the security system. Okay. So you will need to, if you mark quick control and you want to control outputs from the basic with no authorization, then it won't ask you for password. Quite simple. Okay. So right now, because we have mark quick control option, then I can control lights without password. The same we can do and control, for example, gates. So let's do the same thing for the gate. Again, indicator. We will use the same size of it, so it's easier for me to just copy, paste, and align it to the lines that we have in here. And for example, we can then name it garage. Let's follow source garage gate. And then we can do icons of the garage. So if it's inactive, it means the garage is closed. Quite simple. Let's see if we have other. No. Okay. But we don't want to arm disarm. We want to control to turn on the garage or not. So if it's inactive, so in a status normal of the contact, then we will have this information. I make a small mistake. Sorry, guys, not the output. We will use some kind of garage contact. Okay, sorry, because we want to know the status. So if it's open, then we have active. If it's normal, it's closed. But the same goes for the active. We want to then we know that the garage is open. So we used open open icon, and then with the macros, that because we want to control outputs, so garage door, and again we will use switch. And right now we need to find garage gate. It was 10. Yeah. And we can assign it to the both. Why we can assign to both? Because again, we will control by one output garage. Normally, this type of gates and doors in the garage, they are controlled by impulse. So if you give an impulse, then it will just open when it's closed and closed when it's open. So we are using something like this, garage door, done. And we have a possibility to control garage. Okay, so I think you understand the idea of how to configure outputs, and also how to arm, disarm, create icons to control the status of the partitions. So I think this is quite easy, and we can move it a little bit to have a different place. Right now we have also a lot of additional space that we can use in here. So let's use in here some kind of information about the date and clock we have on top, so we don't need it exactly. Let's use a weather widget, because we want to know or give a possibility for the end user to know the weather for the next 3 days and what is right now. So we drag and drop widget of the weather, and we can go to configure it. Please remember that every single time, if the widget is somehow it's not configured or something is wrong with it, so no configuration from your side, there is a triangle somewhere on this widget giving you information that you need to configure it. In this case, we go to the properties and let's use London. Alrighty, so right now we have configured London as the widget. But for the weather widget to work, we will need to configure API key inside the keypad. So let's very fast go to our keypad, and I will show you to have every information combined in one place. How to do it? You go to keypad. I will make the full screen. Okay. Best way is to log in with the administrator, for example. Okay. So if we are logged in, let's go to settings. So on the right top corner, then settings, and then go slide up, open weather map API key. And in here, I already have some kind of API key, but you will need to put a API key in there. So then you can use our open weather map information from them. This open weather map API key you can acquire from their websites. It's openweathermap.org. Go there, create account. This is free of charge, and then you have a possibility to use API key from there. Quite simple, quite easy to configure the weather widget. Alrighty. Let's go to TSI again. Good. So right now we configured arming, we configured some kind of controlling, lights in the corridor, garage, and we have a weather widget in there. But the TSI give you a little more possibility. For example, you are able to control temperature. For it, we will create new tab. Let's create new tab. And right now, we will change this tab a little bit. So let's first of all change the name of this tab for temperature. And let's change the icon to be more give you more information about this, about what this will be in here. So give a temperature icon. Beautiful. And let's change the wallpaper, because I know that I already prepared one screen in here that I would like to use it. I will use this one as the wallpaper. I will show you how this will work. So I prepared a wallpaper or picture with the site of my house, with the information about the temperature in 4 different places. So I have in the living room or living room kitchen, because this is connected to each other. I have in the bedroom. I have in the some kind of office room in the middle, bottom middle, and I have in the toilet. And I have also some kind of information on the right side that they are connected to, because my idea was to create some kind of information, what is the temperature right now in the rooms, but also controlling the temperature in every single room by the thermostat functionality in the Integra Plus. So I can use, for the information about the temperature, I can use some kind of, let's use thermometer light. So I can take it, move it on my picture, make it a little bit bigger, and move it around and copy paste, because it's easier for me to. Okay. copy, paste, yep, let's do it in here, to every one of them have in the same size. I hope you understand the idea what I'm doing right now. This is, I have all information about what is where. All right, now I need to configure them. You have big triangle in the on the widgets, so I want to configure them. So I want to put a names on it because if I have on the picture, I know where it is. So I will just show some kind of detectors. Of course, I can use different detectors. In my case, I will use, in every single one of them, I will use a AXD200 that I have in here with me as the temperature sensor. It's programmed as the ARD, so reorientation, but it doesn't matter. It will give me a temperature value. So for me, this is most important. Of course, you can use any kind of detector, almost any kind of detector from the ABAX2, like the PIR, like the contacts, or so AXD. Doesn't matter which one of them you will use. All of them give you a temperature in the ABAX2. In the ABAX1, only ATD100 will give you a temperature of this from the detector. Okay, so I have configured information about the temperature in the rooms. Okay, but I want to control them. So right now I will use a thermostat button to control different temperature valve in the system. So again, copy, paste, move in here, paste, move in here, paste, move in here. That I have the same size. More or less is where I wanted this to be. So I have also information, so I need to right now configure it. So I need to trigger output. And again, just for this, for the sake of the webinar, I don't have many outputs. I just will control one output in every one of them to just, because the system has just one heating valve in this case, but it doesn't matter. It's just for the sake of the webinar to make it as easy and as fast as possible for you guys. So right now I will have a possibility to control thermostat and set different temperature inside there. So if I configure it in here, I need to also, except of showing what output I want to control, I will put some kind of icon in there. So everywhere I will put some kind of icon with the temperature sign. I will try to find it. Let's say it's, I saw already some kind of temperature. Okay, let's do this for the sake of configuration, okay? So I will set some kind of icon in here, in here. Of course, you can use your own icons, it doesn't matter. It depends as you like. So I have icons in here for the information. So right now I have full information about the temperature in the rooms, and I have possibility to control the heating inside the building for 4 different sections of the building. This is one of the approach that you could do with this. So you have full information about temperature, but also you can control it. But for example, I want to, in addition for the information, the temperature, but also the controlling the temperature, but I also want to know if heating is on right now, because I can control the threshold of the temperature, I can see the temperature, but I don't know if it's right now hitting or not. So I will make it a little smaller, and I will put LED of the output in here and make it the same. I will try at least make it the same size. Yeah. And control this LED that it will show me the status of this heating. So right now, what I have in here, I have information about the temperature that is right now. I have the possibility to change the values of the threshold, if it should already start heating or still not. And then I have information about the valve is open. So for example, then it's sending a heat to room. I hope you understand the idea what I did in here, but this will give me a lot of information. For example, I will be able as the user to check if I have set to 21 degrees and right now I have 20 degrees. If valve is already open, that I know that in next 5 minutes the temperature will be rising because floor heating, etc. will have quite long time to start giving a heat to the room because this is how it works. So I have full information about the temperature in the building. I have possibility to control it, and I can see if it's already heating or not. The heating is on or not. I hope this is quite a lot of information in here, but this is how you can use it inside the system as the controlling of the temperature. Okay, let's go further. Let's say that next up we have few cameras around the building and we want to have information about the camera view. So let's create new tab. Let's of course name it somehow. And let's change, and wallpaper we stick with it. Let's change the icon for the cameras because we wanted to know that this is a camera. And let's put something in there. Okay, I can already put a camera view in here and make it full screen. Looks quite nice. This is the main camera that I will use. Beautiful. But I would like to do something else. Let's say that I want to have main camera as the main one on the screen, and I want to switch between the rest of them by the pressing codes, by the pressing buttons on the bottom. So first of all, I put one camera in here, and I use 3 additional tabs. Let's come back in here. 3 additional tabs inside in here as the sub tabs. I don't want to have them on the right side on the tab menu. I want to have them on the bottom. So I add 1. I add second one, beautiful, and the third one. Okay, let's let him. Okay. So right now I can configure that subtab. The first one will be camera 2. I will try to write it in English. Sorry, guys. Camera 3. And camera 4. Okay, so right now we have one main tab with the 3 different other cameras. And of course, I can use some kind of icon in here. Let's see if I will see some kind of icon of the camera. Beautiful. Of course, again, you can use your own icons, or even you can describe it a little more, like, for example, 2, more, 3, camera 4. Let's use a capital C. And let's make the size of it, because it will be a little bit easier for the end user to use it. Let's use the size for rest of them. Cameras, they have the same size of the icon. Let's put them in somewhere here, and the middle one somewhere in here should be fine. Right now we configured one big cameras and second, third, and fourth. So how to configure camera widget? Quite easy. You go to camera, you go to properties, and then you use some kind of link. This link you should take from manual of the camera or the producer of the camera. They all use different links depending on the not only the company, but also we found out in the last 5 years that they use different links or construction of the links in different cameras in one company even. So yeah, so please take this into consideration that you will need to figure out the link. We have few links in our company that we already know how they work, but nevertheless, you will need to do it. You will need to use a proper one for your camera. Give me 1 second. I will use a link from our city. It's exactly it's the one of the peers in Gdańsk that we can use as the live camera view from the city. Please remember that if you are using RTSP, don't put the RTSP in front of the link. RTSP is already there. You just put a rest of the link in there. We press OK. We don't need to any kind of login and login and password for this camera. But if you need it to use, then please go ahead. Or you can use, of course, login pass at camera. Okay, this is if you want to use in the link. But for us, we are not using it, so we leave it like this. The same, I will also copy this. Because of the purpose of the webinar, I will also go to our camera 2. Take a widget, move it in here, make it full screen. But I will use, just for the sake of this webinar, I will use exactly the same widget, sorry, the same link, and it will be easier for me later on to show you this. But for example, let's say that the fourth camera give you a little more possibilities. For example, you want to control, because it's looking in front of your gate, I don't know, wherever, for example, let's say gate or front gate, and we have view from the front gate, but also we can use some kind of indicator. We connect this to our output as the gate, and then we just use some kind of let's use this one to control it. And then we need to create a macro. So we copy this one, duplicate it, then it will be easier. We add it to active and inactive, and I forget about icon. I will use the same icon, for example, or different one, and then I have information that if I see someone in front of my gate, I can push this button and open gate for them to make it as easy for the end user as possible. Yeah, so we configured right now a few different cameras. Alrighty, so we created main screen with the information about the weather. We have a possibility to control the temperature. We have information about from the camera view. Let's do something else. Let's, for example, control. Let's control shutters. And again, you can do it in many possible, in different ways. We can do it in here. And then we, for example, could control the shutters in here. So yeah, we have a shutter living room. Okay. So we control what output it should control. living room, yeah, and the status of the shutter is closed. You can also in the shutter set that it will be supervised by one of the contacts on the shutter, so you could have information if the contact is open, that means that the shutter is somehow opened. If it's closed, then the shutter widget will show that this window is closed. So you have full information about the status. And for example, we can make many of them in here to control many shutters in the system. You know the idea how they work, so we just change the name. I don't want to change the, configure all project. For me, it's that you understand the idea of the configuration of every single option, at least most of the options in the TSI builder. I don't know. So right now we created controlling the shutters. In here I also make change the name of it, and of course I changed the icon to control the shutters. Beautiful. That's your fashion. Perfect. Okay, but I hope you understand the rest of it. Of course, at the maybe not the last part, but please remember that you always need to do one more thing. You always need to create some kind of tab where there is a terminal on it. This is requirement for the security system and required for the TSI, because if you don't, it will do it. TSI Builder will do it by itself. So we have information about the terminal. If for some reason you will have some kind of problem with the project, the TSI will go to this tab with the terminal, the first tab with the terminal, and stay there. You won't be able to switch to anything else, but you still have a simple keypad in front of you. This sometimes could help you to solve any problems with if you, for example, in the service mode, or you remove SD card from the keypad, then you should see this screen. Also, if we have a terminal and we need to do something in here, we can play a little bit with this. So we will use a text field. As we spoke yesterday, in case of emergency, please contact. Example, one text that I want to use. Make it a little bigger. Let's do one more thing. But this time we will use HTML. So, in case of technical issue, BR means next line. Please contact our technical support, PR, and then you can use, for example, P as the bold and mobile phone, some kind of telephone that you want to use for your technical support, for example. And to be proper, something like this. And you see something like this, then end user, if they have some kind of trouble, or they can call your telephone number, Of course, you can also use your icon from your website or icon of your company or logo of your company in here by using a clip art. But for now, I will just use a clip art in this case and make it something like this. Okay, remove aspect ratio. You know, in here you can put an icon, also will look quite nice. Logo of your company will look quite nice. I hope you understand the idea, what I'm creating in here. So we have different tabs. In general, there is no difference between the tabs. The amount of tabs, sorry. There is no restriction about amount of tabs. But if you create like 40 different tabs and you will ask to go and slide through all of them for end user, this will be maybe not the best idea for them. That's why, for example, I put all the cameras in one tab, and then from this tab, I go to sub tab to make it smaller and easier to use. Please remember that end user will be happy if if using of the TSI will be easy for him, not big, you know, that you will need to create many things around it to be able to, for example, turn on the light. But of course, if you like it and your end user will like it, go ahead, play with it. And then I will just change the icons. I will use something like this as a different icon. And of course, I will add some kind of additional information, let's say information about the event log. So let's go to list, event log in here. We make it almost for the whole screen. And then we will use some kind of filters. So I will take widget filter. I will use 4 of them. So we will have most important information in here. So the first filter, we will just use icons without name. We want information about alarms. So I use icon alarm, and I want to filter what? I want to just zone alarm, partition alarm, nothing else. So this will be connected to this event log list and filter just alarms. Next one, I will use ARM status. Where do we have some kind of ARM icon? Yeah. Okay. For sake of this, I will use this one. And again, in the filter, in the configuration of this button, I will configure filter of the ARM status. In here, next one will be troubles. So I will use diagnostic and system, yeah, and change this icon for some kind of trouble. And the last on the right bottom corner, I will just use show all to clean all the filters that I used previously. And I will just make this icon. Quite easy, quite simple. So I have full information filter about the alarms in the system. I am able to filter every arm disarm status. So I have information, for example, when my kids come back to home or what hour. I have information about the trouble in the system, and of course, clear all the filters. I just change the tab name, event log, and let's change the icon for something that will be more or less giving us information that this is the event log. And of course, let's add one more and use some kind of troubles information for it. So that the user, if they have some kind of trouble in the system, then they will be able very fast to go there and see what the trouble is. For example, battery or something like this. You know, you can do many stuff in here. I just changed the name. Okay, guys, I think I also explained many functions inside the system. Of course, you can do a lot more in here, but I wanted to create some kind of, maybe not that basic, but let's say little bit more creative, basic template for you guys to use it as the some kind of information for you. So it should be leave you at least some kind of information. If you wanted this project for yourself for the later on, or like to use it as the kind of reminder, go to our info.satel.pl website and ask for it. Then we can share this file with you. Okay, and you can find all, and then I can send you this this project. Okay, one sip of coffee. Okay, guys, are you still there? It's okay with you? Can we go further? Because right now I wanted to this project do a little more with it, and then we will send it to the Keypad for you to see what we did. But I would like to see if everyone is okay, everything works fine, no issues, you still have coffee. I hope, at least. Good. I see already a few responses, so I'm happy to it. Okay, so we created as the basic no authorization. We can also create the same thing with authorization. Or even we can use the same one as the no authorization and with authorization. So we don't use a default at all. Right now, doesn't matter if you are logged in or you are logged off, you will see exactly the same. But I wanted to do one more thing. I wanted to show you, let's say that one of the users shouldn't have all these necessary options like controlling the temperature, etc., etc. They should have just simple like arm, disarm, call daddy stuff like for the kids. So we will create new template. Let's name it Ray Kids. Okay. So right now we created new template. We will, we will leave it like this, and we will do just 3 big buttons for this user, like make it one big, second one. Oh, I will do it a little differently. And do something like this. Maybe I will move it a little right, left, sorry. Okay, and I want a big one, like bold one. Arm, disarm, somewhere I have it in here, somewhere lower, I think. Where do we have it? Yeah, disarm, and some kind of fire alarm, let's say, or something bad is happening, let's say fire alarm, or even different medical alarm. So we have very simple one, very minimalistic. So of course in here we will use a macro arm house. In here we will use a disarm house, and in here we will use new macro that we will create. This is something that we will use in here with the macros. So we will start fire alarm from the keypad. And of course, about talking a little bit more about the macros, we have command lists like arm, disarm, alarm, cancel, zone bypass, unbypass, turn on, off, or switch outputs, case sequence that we will use with the fire. We have possibility to send a KNX telegrams from from TSI. We can wait a little bit. We can log in, log out, and show tab. I will talk about it a little later on, most of it, but for this case, we will use key sequence, and we will use, as I remember, fire alarm is on the right. So there is a hash on the right and long press. It means that it will long press the hash key, and this is our fire alarm. No, sorry, this is a medical alarm. So let's change it to medical. I went a little bit in a different way. Medical. So as I remember, this is 0 on the keypad. Okay, beautiful. So right now, if we press this button, we arm, this button is disarm, and this button will call for some kind of medical assistance. But to not make mistakes by pressing the keypad, on the keypad, this big one, we can also mark option long press. So you need to press this icon for 3 seconds for it to react, and then medical alarm. Quite simple. So we have very easy, very simple, minimalistic configuration in here. So we want to use that only this one user, Ray, will use this template. So we go to users, and then we can assign that user Ray will use Ray kid template in the main keypad. So we press OK. And if we use a password for the Ray kid, then we will go to this template. And this is how you can create different templates, different screens for every single one of the users. For example, cleaning ladies don't need to turn on, turn off the lights in the whole building, or control garage doors, or shutters, or sprinklers, and other stuff. They just disarm, and after they're done, arm. The same goes, for example, for the guards, for the anyone in the system that it shouldn't have all the functionality. So let's say that only administrator will see the troubles in the system. Nobody else will be able to do it, etc., etc., etc. You, as the installer, create a project that later on will be used in the system. One more thing that I will add, it's for the settings of the TSI. This goes for any kind of keypad alarms like panic, medical, and fire. This also goes to any kind of list that you wanted to have in here. To be able to, for this functionality to work in the configuration of the TSI, let's make this screen a little smaller. So as you remember, in the quick control, to be able to use a quick control, so without passwords for the controlling the outputs, you need to mark quick control. To be able to see the list, like list of zone outputs, list of partition, event logs, etc., you will need to configure this part. So you need to mark all these inspection fields if you want to use them. Quite simple. And of course, if you want to use some kind of alarms from the keypad, you will need to mark these 3 options, like fire, panic, and outs, or medical in this case. Okay, this is very, very important. If you don't mark this in the configuration of the inside DLoadX, nothing will happen. The same in here, state inspection. You will have a widget with the, for example, with the troubles, but no information inside there. It will be blank. So it's very important to configure also this part. Okay, guys. So we created a templates. We create, we assign no authorization. With authorization, we even create one template as the user. Let's go to LEDs. So if there is some kind of, if there is a screensaver turned on, I still want to know the temperature in the room. So I will take a widget temperature light from this detector and configure it, of course. I want to know the status of the system, like ARM for partition 1 and partition 2. So partition, okay, sorry. Not the ARM status, I want a partition information, partition 1 and partition 2. And I want to know if there is some kind of alarms and troubles in the system, okay? So, but I will just configure partition 1, partition 2. Quite simple. And it will be nice if there is information about the service, if it's turned on or turned off. So I have full information right now and configure LEDs on the screensaver. Quite simple and quite easy. Of course, I can do some kind of separator in here if I want to, but in this case, I will just remove it. It's not too many information here. It's just a few of them, so it doesn't require. Also, there is a triggers. Triggers, as I explained yesterday, this is something that the keypad, this is the functionality of the keypad, that it will look at the status of the zone, output, and react or turn or start some kind of macro when the output status or zone status is as you described in. So for example, if I see movement, so I will use trigger zone. If I see a movement, so violation on the zone 17, then start macro. And in here, I can do many different things. So I can create, for example, I wanted to go to, let's make us some kind of small scenario. If the detector, external detector, see movement in the garden, let's change the camera view for this garden, okay? So we can use garden movement, and then let's make show tab. In here, we don't have anything because we didn't describe the etiquette of where we want to go. So let's create this macro in here. Let's even assign it to this trigger, but let's configure it later on. I will just name it as garden movement for us later on to be able to show. So we want to switch to some kind of tab. Tab with the cameras, okay? So this is not this one. Let's go to camera 3. Let's say this is garden. So let's go to subtab 3. In this subtab, you have title, you have all the information, and you have label. Sorry, not etiquette, label. Let's make it camera garden. So this label will allow us to show to which tab we want to jump if we see movement from this detector. Okay? Also, you can do one more thing. You can do, let's do it in the same moment. Let's go to camera 4 and let's name it camera entrance. Okay? Then we have full information that there is a possibility to jump also to this camera because I wanted to show you a few more things. So we make it. Let's go back to triggers. In garden movement trigger, let's go in here. Let's edit our macro. And in show tab, let's go to camera garden and press OK. OK, and press OK. So right now, if the detector see movement, the TSI will jump there. The tab will jump to this camera. But also, I wanted to use some kind of output. And let's say that someone press a button in front of our house. This zone could be as the no alarm, but we can use also output for this. So we use macro, and we said entrance as the macro name, entrance camera jump, and show tab of the camera full. And then we assigned it to this trigger, okay, and we will follow output. Let's say output. We don't have any of here. Entrance gate for this example. Okay, so we will be able to jump when someone pressed the button. This button will trigger our output. Entrance button, and then it will jump to this camera that we can control also to open the gate. This is even without any kind of intercom solution. This is just inside Integra with TSI. Okay, so we have, to be honest, from my point of view, we have full project. We have full project to arm, disarm, see the status of the partition. We have information about the weather widget. We have information of how to control the temperature in the building and also value of the temperature. We have cameras. We have control. We can control the shutters. We have some kind of information about call technical support if it's required. We have event log. We have trouble in the system. But also we create something minimalistic for the end user. We have to use it as the arm disarm. We have LEDs and we have triggers inside the system. Right now, it will be good if we move this project from the TSI builder and put it inside the TSI. How to do it? You have two possibilities. First, you can remove SD card, use USB SD card reader and do it, or you can do it remotely. We will try to do it remotely. I hope my network will allow us to do it. So what we need to do, the first part. First one, we need to go to our TSI. I will switch to TSI. Make it full screen for you guys to see it. And you need to go to settings. I will use authorize with my main user, so administrator. Go to settings and remote access turned on and enable it. Right now we have time for us to connect to this TSI. Right now TSI is broadcasting to the network the configuration about the to your PC. Right now, in the synchronization inside the TSI builder, right button, scan local network, and right away we see the TSI is there because in my local network I have only one TSI, and it's there, is ready to be able to connect. Okay, I press OK because this is the first time when I'm adding this TSI. It will ask me to what project I want to add. I want a TSI webinar main keypad. Quite simple, quite easy. Press OK. Right now, we could, sometimes it's quite tricky. It should show in here, but in general, it didn't refresh it, not yet, but it's there, it's assigned. What we need to do, one more thing, is to build project. Because TSI Builder right now have all the big icons, all the big wallpapers and all the stuff. We need to create some project that TSI will understand. So we press build. It will right now create all the files with the smaller size to fit exactly in the resolution 800 for 480. Okay, let's scan again. Okay, let's give me 1 second. I will restart TSI. This will take just a few seconds, and we will see if it's there or not. Okay, yeah, it's there already. Sorry guys for it. The synchronization through the network sometimes is tricky. Okay, so we built project. And right now, let's scan again. Okay, TSI is disconnected. I will go again and start it. Give me 1 second. I'll just do again. I enable it one more time, and you see it's connected already. So if it's there, I can right now press right button, synchronize with the SD card. On the bottom, you will see the progression of the file that goes to the TSI. You will, if you have older version of the project in there, like from the previous OS or previous version of the firmware inside, you have a prompt with information that you have that you want to put a new firmware in there. Do you accept it? Yes, no, you know the drill. But I know that this keypad is updated to the latest version, so it shouldn't be any problem. Right now, we are sending our configuration by the LAN network to our keypad. Let's give him a few minutes, seconds. Let's see how long this will take. This, of course, depends on the network speed and many other things, but let's give him a few seconds for it. Okay, copying all the information in there. Yeah, this can take a little bit. Sometimes using card reader could be faster. In this case, I think it will be because I have my PC very close to TSI, so it will be quite fast. But in general, it's quite fast. It depends. If you have TSI close to you, I will use SD card. If it's very farther or different floor, then I will use LAN and drink coffee in the time sending all the configuration. Okay. Let's give it a little more time. Okay. It took us 71 seconds to send all the configuration. As you see, the speed was very, very slow. I'm not sure why. But after you send this configuration, you will be prompted for, do you want to restart the keypad? I press yes. Right now, I will switch very, very fast. Keypad restart. And then you will see something like this. Every single time when you send configuration through the LAN, it will always update, even if the update is the latest one. So use every single time you see something like this. This is also to prevent any kind of corrupted files in the time when you are sending through the LAN. So this will take a little bit longer, but then we sure 100% that everything is fine, that the files are not corrupted. And this is very, very important part to be sure. So you see some kind of information from the log, and the keypad in few seconds should restart. The same thing you will see every single time when you update some kind of firmware inside the TSI, but at least from the project. Let's give it a little more time. Okay. If you see something does not exist, it means that it's proper information. Update done successfully. Perfect. We'll restart now. Beautiful. Right now, looks like everything works fine, and we should be in the few seconds have our project inside the TSI. Let's wait a little bit and see if this is done properly. Okay. But this is the best moment, to drink, to stay hydrated. Maybe not with the coffee, but still. Alrighty. And after, I think, 2 minutes or something like this, we have our project on the screen of TSI. So right now we can arm with our password the system. Beautiful. We can disarm the system. Beautiful. I see my camera is working on my finger. Okay. Let's give it. Yeah, perfect. It's focusing. So we have information about the weather in the London. Guys, if you are from London or any one of you is in London, you are lucky ones. You have 20 degrees. We right now in Gdańsk, we have like 10 or 12. You are lucky ones. And I see that you will have at least Saturday with nice weather. Sound a little worse, but okay. We can control lights in the corridor. And we can control garage to open and close. We have also information about the temperature. As you remember, for the sake of this webinar, we are using one detector. So everywhere we have the same temperature. If I move detector in the back of my PC, where the temperature is higher, the temperature will rise in the next few moments, but in this case, I will show you also a possibility to change the thermostat. So we go inside the thermostat, and right now the temperature is 70 degrees. I will go down with it. I can hold to make it. This is the default configuration. I didn't configure it. So let's say I want to have like 30 degrees as the temperature 1 and temperature 2. I want to have 41 degrees. So you should see in the few moments that that we can change the temperature thresholds. Okay, we can go right now to our camera view. Let's see. This is our weather right now in one of our piers in Gdańsk. It's beautiful weather. This is, of course, live view from camera, the public camera. This is not exactly in Gdańsk. This is in Sopot. It's very close to Gdańsk, one of the most beautiful places if you want to go for a party in, at least in the north of the Poland. Come to our company and we can manage something. Of course, we can jump through the cameras. This is another camera free. This is we use for the sake of the webinar the same camera. But if we go back to camera 4, this is our, as I remember, entrance camera. We have possibility to control some kind of outputs on the right side. And we, for example, we can open a gate for end user or for the guests. We also can control the shutters in here. So shutters up, shutters down. We don't have any kind of zone connected to it, so we don't see a status of the shutter, but nevertheless, we have information here. You can stop or open and close. We have our keypad with the information. In the case of technical issue, please contact our technical support and our keypad that we can use in the system. We have event log. So today we have all the information, but okay, we want to see only alarms, system about arm and disarm status with the dates, troubles in the event log, and of course, we want to see all of it. You will see that there is some kind of information in the Polish because the panel was Polish. Yesterday was still Polish, or 2 days ago was still Polish, and now it's English. Alrighty, if we want to see a trouble list, I see that there is some kind of trouble in the system. Yeah, so we still are able to work. And of course, we can slide up and down. So this is how we create our project. Right now, as you remember, I want to show you 2 more things. One of them is Ray. So if we go and we want to log in as the Ray, so we have our own screen. I want to just give me 1 second. I will check the password. Very simple one for freeze. Welcome Ray, and I have only this one. As you know, in the project, I didn't add keypad, so the system, so the TSI builder did it by itself. So I have a terminal in there. There is always required that you will use one of it. And for example, I can arm the system. You see, I didn't need to use a password for it. Yes, I didn't need to use a password for it because I'm already authorized. So don't ask me for the password, and I have some time to exit from the system. Partition 1 is armed. Quite simple. If I want to disarm, again, the same thing. I don't need to put a password because I'm already authorized. Of course, if I want to ask for help, nothing happens if I press short time. If I press and hold for 3 seconds, there is a medical alarm not available. I think I didn't send the information about the alarms in the system. Let me check. Yes, I didn't send configuration to the panel. With the right now should work fine. So let's press this button. Medical alarm activated. System sends this information to your configuration to who it sent. Okay, so we have full configuration. We can log out from this user. Okay, in the system, and right now we can even go to our event log, and you will see that there is a medical request button from this keypad. So all the functionalities work fine without any problems. Okay, guys, so one more thing that left in here, or 2 things that left in the TSI. First of all, if we go to start to speed it up because it's after 3 minutes, you will see information about the status. I see one of the icons move. I think this is my mistake. I move it so you have information about the LEDs on the screen, and of course with temperature widget in Gdańsk. Okay, and last thing was the triggers. As I remember, we configured triggers that output 9 and violation of the ARD 100. So if we harm the system, it's harmed it, and I will try to change the status of the output 9. Let's give 1 second. I will use a second keypad for it. Remove the sound. Control this one. Yeah. So right now I triggered output entrance gate, and it's immediately showing me the screen that I wanted to see on my TSI. If I it was on the zone, so if I take my detector and move it, first of all I see alarm, and I see different screen from inside my keypad, so I have information about this. I move it many times, so it refreshed the screen. Right now I stop moving, and I have full information from the screen. So this is how the triggers work. But you don't need to do just moving through the tabs. You can do many different things. You can start, like if you press a button on the wall to turn on the lights in the kitchen, for example, then the TSI will take this information and change it not to turn on the light in the kitchen, but also do, for example, start a scenario to turn on the lights in the living room, and for example, dim something, turn on the music, turn many things that you connect to the Integra panel to work with it. Especially if you are using some kind of third-party smart homes like Creston, like I don't know, KNX, RTI, and many others, that they can use information from Integra panel and start something. You can combine it with the TSI to make this even more advanced in the system. Okay, guys, so this is about how to configure system, how to create a project, simple one, but I think with many possibilities in here. Yeah, temperature right now is 35 on the other side of my PC, so it's increasing slowly, and you do many interesting things inside the TSI. What I want to show you in addition to it, I want to show you how to make an update, at least where to find it. Again, in Tools, you go to update INT-TSI OS, and you follow step by step. And what is asked from you, like connect to which port, and step by step, it's quite easy to do. If this is not enough, if you go to start page, go to learn and discover more demos and tutorials, you will see something like this. And then on the bottom, you will see updating TSI keypad operation system, for updating firmware for the processor responsible for communication, so STM. And most of the things that I was talking through the webinar, you can find it in here. So, so you will find in here most of the things If I didn't explain it fully, you can find it in here also. Alrighty, guys. So I think we went through most of the important thing in the TSI builder, and in the TSI we create a project. So I think we can go through questions. We have 1 hour 45 minutes or 1 hour 50 minutes. We can still find few questions for you guys to answer. So yeah, let's go to questions then. Okay, we will start with the first one. Questions. Is it possible to get INT-TSI beta version firmware with intercom function? Yes, Thomas, you can. Go to our info.satel.pl, put a request for the beta there, and you will receive back information all about what you need to do, what modules we supported right now with our devices, with the TSI. You will be able to use our beta. Please remember that if you want to install it to the end user, please tell him that this is still in beta, that he will know if something is not exactly there. So it's not a problem. So in general, you will find everything in the info.satel.pl. After creating the project, can I reset my TSI to default state? Yes, you can. You need to create default projects. So I will show it very fast. If you go to File, go to New Project, go to Samples, Default SATEL, and then yes, you can do it and create default configuration in there, and then you need to synchronize it, build it and synchronize it with the SD card, and you are ready to go. This is then default configuration. Alrighty. Can I recover building from SD card? No. Irwin, sorry, but no, you can't, because TSI Builder, creating from this all the big size files and configuration, creates something that TSI will understand. So I will advise to you to always go to documents, and always TSI, and always some export or make a backup of the TSI Builder projects that will give you a backup of the configuration. You can set like OneDrive or Google Drive to automatically synchronize this folder with the cloud, that you will always have refreshed files in there. But in general, you can't recover your project from the SD card. Okay, next question. For the synchronization with the TSI, it is necessary to connect it to the network. No. If you want to use a SD card and put it in the SD card reader, you can do it. You don't need a local network for it. If you want to send remotely, yes, you need a local network. So in general, no, you don't need to. If you don't want to use some of the functionalities like the cameras, weather widget, remote access, or anything else like master slave, then you don't need to use a LAN network at all. It's not necessary. It's just giving you a few new functionalities that will be nice. Okay. Thank you, Marco. I'm very happy to help you to understand TSI and go through all the webinars. I know that this one was very, very long, but still, I hope this will be some kind of knowledge compact as much as you can. You can later on go with this. So thanks, Marco. Thanks, guys. for your patience and for your time to go through all the TSI. I know that it wasn't easy, but I hope with this project will give you most informations. Thank you, Jacek and Łukasz, for all your answers, for all taking care of the chat and helping me with all the details or what I missed in the webinar. Again, thank you, guys. Please take care of each other and please stay safe in this coronavirus situation. And I hope to see you soon in the next webinar. From what I know in English, in the next week will be about, as I remember, INT-KNX and INT-KNX2 and our KNX modules. But if you want to know more on our website and of course of our newsletter, there is some more information in there about next webinars that we are be providing for you. Okay, guys, thank you very much one more time and stay safe. Cheers.